Welcome to January's reading recap. Today I'm going to go through all the books that I read in January. So to start, I have When the Waters Came by Candice Sue Patterson. I read her book, The Keys to Gramercy Park, last year, and it was amazing. I absolutely loved it, so I really wanted to get her new release. And I didn't really love it that much. The characters themselves just felt kind of ordinary or boring, and it didn't really draw me in to keep reading the story. I kind of wanted to know what happened, and I liked the setup of the romance, of how it could go somewhere, but I never really enjoyed how it went. And then I was also a little bit confused, right at the beginning. I didn't realize how fast the tragedy would happen. When you look at the blurb, this just happens in the first chapter, whereas I thought we'd have a little bit more setup. So that kind of threw me off and was a little bit confusing to start. After that, I read My Name is Eva. This book was amazing. So I got this really cheap at my library sale, which has been a lot of fun, and I did not go in February for all of those wondering. So we're flipping between different timelines. I love those type of books anyways, but we're not going through different characters necessarily. We're going through the same character, different points in her life. And what's really neat is that the main time is modern. She doesn't want her relatives to find out about her past life and her assignments in World War II and how she had been connected to different things. So she acts like she has dementia, so that when they're clearing out her house and discovering all these secrets and hints to past things, that she can't answer them because she has dementia, and she rambles on about random things. So nobody actually believes her, even if she says the truth, which was her goal. So she's in a nursing home, watching the other patients who have dementia, and then imitating them so that nobody finds out the truth. So it was just a super interesting concept, and I really enjoyed it. Next, we have Reclamation by Chuck Black. And I can't do this and something appears because there is no cover yet. I beta read it for him, which was really fun. So it was before his editor got it. I honestly think this might have been my favorite of the Star-Lord legacies so far. I just really loved Ray and Brett's relationship in this, and all the misunderstandings as things are happening. They're just super likable characters from the beginning, but I'm feeling like they're starting to mature a little bit and their friendship is growing. But there are some misunderstandings that throw you for a little bit of a loop. One of the big allegory parts of the story is that it's about the reclamation, and it has a messiah figure, but I really liked that it wasn't written from the perspective of the messiah figure. I liked that we had it from Bray and Rhett, and it wasn't Jeshu who was the main character of the story. We got to follow along. It kind of reminded me of The Chosen, how we're following along through the eyes of the disciples. I've really enjoyed the perspective on it, and it's just such a good book. So make sure that you check out its release in April. I believe pre-orders open in March, so make sure to grab a copy of Reclamation when it comes out. Next, I read What I Promise You. So this was the last book that I read in January, and it had a really interesting blurb. I felt like it was a really neat setup and a concept. I didn't exactly love how it was executed, though. The main character, she was taken from a camp in France, and she was brought to a maternity home. I felt like some of the elements of that were just a little unrealistic, unbelievable, and then I also never really felt like she was set up as a character. We later find out that she ran a factory and she had all sorts of Jewish workers, and when they were all taken, she felt really responsible and guilty that she hadn't released them and hadn't had them all leave France before the Germans came. But I never knew that she had that factory until way later in the book, so it didn't really feel like she was set up with that. I felt like she was just an ordinary person until I realized that way later in the story. And then there was this one moment when she went back to the camp where she left to say goodbye to her husband, and I just felt like it was just a little bit unbelievable. You're not going back to the camp, even if you're saying goodbye to your husband. I feel like they knew that by this time. Sentiments are okay, but when your life is in danger and the life of your unborn baby, I feel like she would not have thought to do that. And then the modern POV was a bit more interesting. I felt like the setup with losing her best friend was pretty interesting, and how she had to really rediscover her identity through this. I did feel like the goose chase to try and find out her grandfather's past and history was a little bit overused. I feel like every dual timeline World War II book has that sort of goose chase with the modern POV of somebody trying to discover their roots and trying to discover how their family was connected to World War II. But I felt like this one was just a little bit forced. It didn't feel like she was going over there for that, and she wasn't. She was there for mission school. And then the discovery was kind of just like an afterthought. But I will say, in all of that, I really did like Aiden. Him and Caitlin's relationship was really sweet, and he was absolutely adorable. So those were all of the books that I read in January. So it was quite an eventful month. It was kind of a crazy month in general, so I didn't get a ton of reading done. And February isn't looking up. I just have not had a ton of reading time lately. But I have started a really good book that I will let you know about in February's reading recap, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, make sure to click subscribe. And I'd love to hear about what books you read in January, so drop a comment and share the books you read in January, whether it's your favorite book or all of the books you read in January. I'd love to talk about it more with you there. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.